Hello and welcome to Beyond the Point podcast with me, Ali Christensen. I'm curating the content I wish I had had as a dancer and creating strong, healthy, thriving dancers for the future. Not only am I your host and ex-professional dancer, but I own Align Fitness here in Huntington Beach, California, and I'm the creator of online courses for dancers such as lower body flexibility and turnout for dancers. Happy New Year, everyone. It is 2020. I cannot believe how fast this year goes. And I know that it's such a cliche to say at this point, but I feel like every year gets faster and faster as I get older. But this year really has flown by. I remember starting 2019 with very clear intentions about what my goals were and what things I was going to accomplish this year. Some of the things I am grateful I accomplished. Some of them are still in process. And some of them I had to put on the back burner and say, I can't fully give my attention to all of these things. We've talked about that in other episodes, saying that priority is one thing and we cannot have multiple priorities. So I chose to then, after my new year, kind of solidify that down and give a little chisel to what my goals were. But one thing I remember doing at the beginning of last year that I'm really happy I did, and it really worked out, was I told my friends and family that this next season of life, because everything is a season, nothing is forever, this next season was going to look a little different than what I had been doing in the past. I had some very intentional goals, which meant I was going to get to spend some time and energy on them. And it might mean that those friends and family didn't get to see me as much as maybe the previous year or in the past. And I wanted to make sure that those relationships still continue to grow, even though I might be spending a little less physical time with them. I'm very happy to report that with some hard work and commitment to my family, friends, and to my goals, I've reached a lot of those, and I was able to make a balance in life that I think was one of my best years of balance. So that's a happy thing for me. I say this because we're now in 2020, and one thing I love to do that I've adapted over the last couple years because of a mentor is something called Gentle January, meaning not January 1st. It's like, okay, I have to make all these changes and we're going full bore into it. And that's it. Most of the time, most of us drop our goals or resolutions within 2 weeks. I decided to go at it a little bit differently, and it really worked well. I'm going to be talking about this very soon. That's not actually what today's podcast is about, but I want to point out that as dancers and as parents of dancers, this gets to be a little bit different because you guys are coming into your performance season, auditions, and your competitions. You guys get to have a little bit of a different focus and make sure that you have your eye on the goal, because for some of you, auditions and competitions are starting in a few days. I know, it's crazy. Some of you have stuff starting within these next few days. So I decided that what better way to start off the new year here on the podcast than to bring on an amazing woman who has really dedicated her life as a past dancer, now a dancing mom, dancer, and now an advocate for dancers and parents. She has started an amazing company and foundation that is assisting to bring resources together for dancers to make sure that their health in a well-rounded way is taken care of. Everything from having access to dance-specific doctors to knowing how to go into a studio and ask the right questions about the environment you're in, emotional support, everything for parents, even down to what to ask for with competitions and what you need to be looking for in all these different areas. This really is a packed full podcast of information, and I want you guys to absorb it and check them out and start applying some of these things that they have as free resources on their Instagram and on their website right away. I can't think of a better way for you guys to dive into 2020, starting here on January 1st, than to be aware that there are so many resources for you guys and you're not alone. So before I keep going and going about this wonderful interview, let's just dive right into the interview right now. So today on the podcast, I have Jennifer DePaola joining me, and I'm so excited to have her on because she is the co-founder of a cause and company that I love dearly in my heart, and it's called Doctors for Dancers. So Jennifer, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the dance community. This is so your community already. So I'm so excited to have you on and sharing with the people who follow me, because this is exactly what we all need to hear and have as part of our life. So for those of you that have not heard of Doctors for Dancers, I'm going to let Jennifer just jump right in and explain. Jennifer, tell us how you came up with this creation and why it's something that you're working so hard to push forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on. I've been watching your podcast for quite some time. And
oh, good.
I love how you are doing it for the community, and the things that you bring up are very valid points all the way across the board. And so it's really nice to have all this types of information that you provide. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
For providing this. Absolutely. So a little bit about Doctors for Dancers. It actually started a couple of years ago. We were at a dance convention, and there was a lady with a table and a booth. And, we went up to her just to see, what she was doing. And she's like, "Hi, I'm a dance medicine specialist." And I was like, "I'm sorry, you do what?" She's like, "Yeah, I actually specialize in dancers. I went to school for this. I'm part of this organization." And for me, I've been in the dance community since I've been around for a very long time. And I've been dancing since I've been 2. I was in the competitive world. So you grew up dancing at your local studio, and I went into assisting and teaching and choreographing. And for me, I unfortunately had a lot of injuries when I was younger. So I actually sought quite a bit of help from chiropractors, doctors, physical therapists, and all of them didn't understand me. The common answer that I always received was, "I need to sit out."
Right.
Here are some pills. That was another common thing back in the day. And for me, I wasn't about to take Vicodin and dance. So unfortunately, I was taking a lot of Advil and Aleve and Tylenol just to mask the pain so I could continue to dance. Because if you're a dancer, it's your love, it's your heart, it's your soul, it's a team. It's so much more than just dance. And it's super special. So you always want to be a part of that. No matter if you are injured, we push it beyond. And a lot of times I masked it too, because I didn't want to sound like I was complaining or I couldn't handle things or I was being a baby. So I just continued to take Tylenol, even though behind the closed doors, I was seeing a lot of different doctors. I would see naturopaths, people to look in your eyes. After a while, they kind of thought it was in my head because they couldn't find anything with the x-rays that were happening. And they thought because I was a dancer, I was fit, I was flexible, that there was nothing wrong with me. But the sad part is every now and then I'd miss a couple days of school because I couldn't get up off the ground. Mm-hmm. My back would just go out quite often for me. And just dancing through the pain, it's just kind of what you did until you can get back out there again. So for me, that was like what my life was growing up. So unfortunately, I didn't take that step, that move to LA, because my body kept giving out. And as a dancer, you know how hard it is to sit out.
Yes.
It's not fun.
It's so hard for all of us. We think it's the end of the world to sit out for a class.
Right. And for me, it was my last recital. My back went out. And unfortunately, somebody else had to wear my costumes up on stage.
Oh,
well, yeah,
it's so heartbreaking.
That was that moment for me where I was like, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Like, I certainly can't move to another state with my body keep giving out. It was not a fun time for me, but the love of dance always overpowered that injury. So, I kept going. Not until I was in my 20s did somebody actually do an x-ray or an MRI, pardon me. They'd do an x-ray and then an MRI. That's how insurance works.
Yeah.
And that's when he came back to me and he was like, "You're messed up." And so that's when they found multiple things wrong with my back. And I was like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew there was something wrong with me. But unfortunately, nobody could diagnose me. Nobody understood me. Nobody cared for me. And I know what that feels like. And it's not fun. And I know it affected a lot of people. It didn't just affect me. It affected my dance teachers, my teammates, because they had to have extra rehearsals now because of me, and costume changing and staging. And people just think that someone can just go in your place and learn it. But I mean, we put a lot of work into our craft, especially for a recital being in, 8 numbers. that it's a lot of changes for everybody to be affected by. So full circle, my boy started dancing, and I'm now a dance mom, and I'm still listening to the same things while I'm waiting. I hear kids coming up asking for Advil quite often, an ice pack, or hearing that they're injured and, oh, I need to sit out. I was like, man, this is still happening like all the time. And so now that I'm growing up and I've been through it and I'm a mom, it's now even more heartbreaking for me to see some other person go through it.
Yeah.
So when I found this girl at the dance convention, I was just like floored. I was totally floored that there was even these people that existed that actually worked on dancers like yourself. And most of them are dancers who have been injured, who've been through the same thing and decided they want to change and they want to help the community. Because we are very underappreciated, undervalued all the way around. So it's nice to see the up and coming generation of dance specialists really have that passion in helping taking care of the community. So when we found her, we're like, everybody needs to find out about you. Like people need to know. And even today, people don't know that there's actually a thing that exists called a dance specialist, let alone somebody who actually is a dance medicine specialist. There are starting to be classes that are being at colleges that promote dance medicine that you can actually take to have a degree in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. So, you brought up so many good points. And I think that if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you're now starting to see a trend, like you said, that these people who are trying to make a difference in our dance community are people who've experienced pain and injury themselves. And unfortunately, there is no motivation like pain and wanting to experience something different. Something that I see happen a lot is that pain masking you were talking about. You're trying to hide it. There's a line. Having been a dance teacher, I will play both sides of the coin here. It's a lot when we have someone coming up and saying, oh, my stomach hurts. And it's like the 10th time their stomach is hurt. And my sympathy goes out because we could be experiencing a really serious problem that needs to be taken care of. But also there's sometimes a level in the studio, I'm going to say of like apathy maybe. And it's a difficult line for the teachers, I think, to know when somebody is truly in pain or when they don't want to put the work in. Yeah. And when you get into certain levels of studios, I think that starts to disappear. The kids are more serious and they're devoting themselves to dance. So I do think that goes down. But when we're in this lower level or just a more recreational activity as dance, which is what for a lot of people it is, and that's so great, I think it's hard for the teachers to understand when something is serious and when something is maybe just a momentary ache or pain. But when we then have all these people who, like myself, like what you're creating, who can assist these teachers to understand when it's time to make a change or when it's time to see somebody, I think we're going to see a big change in the studios starting at that base level. That's really exciting for me to think about, that the teachers are going to have more power as they get to know more of what your cause is and what you're able to do when you do see these dance specialists who do exist in the world.
That's such a good point. We actually have a lot of teachers ask that very question. When do I know that they're just trying to get out of dance?
Yeah, it's hard.
We've all done it. I did it in PE class all the time.
Yeah, like, totally.
I don't want to do that. So I get that. Absolutely. One of our specialists actually says for you to be able to look for the signs without them actually telling you. So if they're saying that they're injured or something is happening, we do need to have some type of like injury reporting system. I think we're trying to come up with something that we can have like the front desk have to actually like mark like what's happening, and a note goes to the home to the parent 1 week in the office, and then one goes to the owner, because a lot of times the owners don't even know that this is going on. They're usually teaching themselves, or if not in the office. And so there's not a lot of times where we're like, oh, well, this person had an ice pack, this person had Advil, this person had a tummy ache. We don't usually report all those things.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll start to see a pattern if we start tracking them.
Yeah.
And let them know about those things. So I think that's super important for us to come up with some type of reporting of these types of injuries or stomach aches or ice packs that are going out. And then another part is how do you find if they are injured? So if you're noticing that somebody says that they're hurt or not hurt, are they still pulling that double or triple like they usually do? Or they keep falling out of something? How is their level of stamina going on? So you can kind of see some of the things, but it's super hard. These kids are tired. They work their butts off. But those are kind of like some of the cues that you can take a look at when you're teaching is, are they not usually doing what they have been doing?
Love that. So great.
Yeah.
And I think that reporting system, man, if you're a teacher, start that right now. That's perfect because I get a lot of questions from the parents saying, how do I know when their aches or pains are serious? Because we come home, we're sore from the day, especially as you're getting ready for competition season or performance or auditions. You're working your butt off. And I went home every night and was like, oh, I hurt so bad. And, it's a different hurt. We know soreness is a different hurt from a structural issue. And I get parents that ask all the time, how do I know what is an injury we need to take care of and what is just a general ache and pain? And I always tell them if the same thing lasts more than 2 days, you should consider getting it looked at. And if it's reoccurring, as in it comes back within a year, it's definitely going to be an injury in the future if we don't take care of it. So I love that reporting system because I think the parents just don't know what to do. I don't think they know where to take them and they don't know what to do. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the times we have no clue what to do when our kids are hurt because it's push, 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 right? It's always push through this, push through that. Dancers are warriors in general. And their pain level, when they say they're hurt, if they say, oh, it's like a 6, it's really a 9 to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because they're used to that pain all the time. So I think in order to figure some of those things out, I think dance screenings are super important to have. A lot of companies are starting to implement them. Mm-hmm. If you think about going to school and we have football or soccer or baseball, you every single year or even every single sport when it starts and you're new, you have to have a physical before you start that year. We don't have that for dancers.
Right.
If we implement a little bit more screenings, I feel like then that is a time where a dancer can feel that they're important, they're cared about, that their health matters, and that they can actually tell somebody, well, this is happening and this is happening. What do you think? Because I feel like dancers don't talk about their injuries because they're always told to sit out. And they don't want to sit out. No. So they don't say anything until that injury keeps happening over and over and over again, till you then think it's just normal to have. Yeah. For me, I had injuries. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, that popping was going on. This was happening. This was happening. And all of that was leading to my injuries to keep happening again. But I didn't realize it because I'm a kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't want to say anything because I keep being told to sit out. So if I can just take an Advil or take a Tylenol to mask it, I will. But unfortunately, that is not what you should be doing.
No, it's not.
At all.
Well, our bodies are so amazing. They rejuvenate themselves. They rebuild themselves when we put the right things in them, when we are doing the right types of corrective exercises. Your body is meant to be agile and powerful and jump and spin and move. And the only thing I think the body's not really meant to do is turn out, but we still do it. But you were saying like we have such that level of 6 and 9, like for if someone says it's a 6 and they're a dancer, it's probably a 9. That comes up quite a bit in here. I work in a sports rehab place, and the doctor who's here, he used to always say when we do this certain glute band exercise, like when I do it, when you would do it, when an adult does it, their face, when they start to feel the burn, like gets all crinkly and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel it. And you put a dancer in it and they are stoic. They have performance face on until the end. And the doctor was like, they're not pushing hard enough. I'm like, no, they really are. And the next day, this dancer came back for her, second day. And she was like, my butt is so sore. And the doctor was listening, was like, I didn't think you were going to be sore because you did it forever. But like, there was no show of emotion on her face. And I was like, that's dancer face. So that's been our like tagline in here is like, you got your dancer face on. And when we're in here, in my setting, it's okay to drop that face. But that's a huge part of, what we're doing in the studio and looking like we're okay. And, as you're saying, like not wanting to sit out, you have to look the part. You have to look okay if you don't want a teacher to say what's wrong and take you out of the choreography. So, that's something we see all the time. And then I also was thinking, I actually have a teacher who owns a studio that a couple years ago, they are doing an experiment, and I think it's going to work out well for them. Their competition teams started a little bit of a screening process from younger ages. And to get on the higher level teams, they have to be in a certain place of health. So not only do you have to be able to do a triple pirouette, or you have to be able to do a jump or have extension in a certain way, you have to be able to pass this physical screen that says you are healthy, because they know the physical demand that's going to be on the dancers later. So it's now just not about their tricks, but it's also about their health. And by starting it earlier, they are telling their young dancers, like, you got to start working on this stuff. You got to be able to do this, this, and this if you want to join the team. And they're just coming to the point where those younger dancers are going to be coming into the older competition teams. And I'm really excited to see what those young dancers do now, having applied some of the corrective things that they've been working on for the last few years. I think it's a really great idea.
I love that. I love it. It goes right into also just everybody being on point. Not everybody should be on point.
Exactly.
If you're not going to be a professional ballerina and you're having, for me, I was the only one not on point shoes because of my back issues. Mm-hmm. And I was so thankful that my dance teacher didn't push me to do it. I did feel left out, but at the bottom line, like, I can't even imagine where my back would be if I was on point, but I had no business being on it. So a teacher should not push you to be on point. You should go through a point shoe screening in order for you to be on point first from a professional, because that alone is strenuous. So I feel like whatever the studio is doing, that is amazing, because your body has to be right. And if it's not right, then you need to go get help before we can continue on. Otherwise, you're not going to have longevity in this career. Your body is going to be going out at 15, 16 years old. Mine started at 14.
Yeah, mine did too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it does happen. It's not when you're in your 20s. I mean, it can happen at a very young age. And if we're talking about these things now, I'm just so amazed that the studio is doing it. I love that they're implementing this at such a young, early age and continuing on. I think I can't wait to hear the results and for them to release this, and hopefully other studios will follow, of having screenings in the studio. It's super important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a huge part of your mission. Before the podcast, we were talking a little bit about your son and his experience in the dance world, and you having a little more education and knowledge that there is a way to treat a dancer. I'm sure that's pushing you to make sure he is getting the best care as he's going through dance. What have been some of the things that have happened as you've took your dancer in to seek care, either with dance professionals or non-dance professionals?
Yeah, super interesting. We were, he was auditioning for a show, and so we had to get a physical done. And while we were in there, we were explaining, and this is our pediatrician, so we've known him for umpteen years. Mm-hmm. And he had an ankle issue going on. So obviously we have to put like full disclosure of like what's happening. So I was like, okay, well, and I knew he wasn't a dance specialist, but I had to bring it up during the physical.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, his ankle hurts and this hurts. And he said, well, just treat yourself like a real athlete, like a football player.
Oh, no.
I was like, really? Luckily, I mean, we already knew the stigma behind dance and boys, but, in girls in general. I mean, everybody across the board, we're just not treated as athletes.
Yes, but I think the boys get a brunt of it. I think that comment is probably quite prominent, unfortunately. So I'm sure that the boys get that more, and you've heard that more often having a boy dancer. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. So I had to give my doctor a little lesson saying, well, he is an athlete. And let me tell you what he does.
Yes.
Let me tell you how many hours he does, and the rehearsals and the practices. And I will tell you, he definitely is in the studio much longer than a football player is all week long. That was his thing. And then we do, fortunately, a couple of our dance specialists on our site will help Stefan out. So recently we were able to go to, actually not one, but two helped him out from Offset Med, Aaron and Scott. They're amazing. They're actually based out in LA. And they ask him, like, what are you doing? Tell me, like, what are you doing in your dance? And we found that during rehearsal, he was doing a lot of arm work. So it was actually his shoulder was hurting him.
Yeah.
So they literally walked around him and put him through all these different testings to watch how his body was moving, just little things here and there. And here they're both of them are walking around doing these tests on him. And they were like, okay. And it was probably 10 or 15 minutes of him doing different things just for his shoulder. And they found out that he had a weakness below a certain area. It wasn't even his shoulder. It was something else causing it. So they actually just gave him some exercises.
Yeah.
That was it. No pills, no x-rays, no nothing, no sitting out. And his pain level was at an 8 or a 9.
Yeah.
And so literally with just a few stretches that they had him do and they told him do more push-ups.
Yeah.
To strengthen the area. The pain literally went away within 24 hours.
I love hearing that.
Right? So amazing. And that for me, that's what I love about working with the dance specialists is that they understand dancers. They understand your schedules, your training, your psyche, what you go through. And they want you to get back out there. That's their goal.
Yep.
I mean, my doctor, who's been a professional in the industry of his thing, I mean, it was just ice and do this. He didn't even look at it.
Yep.
And that's the typical thing. I don't remember really people looking at me. They heard me, but they really didn't do too much with my body. And even when they did, it was like, my leg is supposed to be here, but I'm really, it's behind my ear, not in front of it. And they're like, oh, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
Seeing a dance specialist, they're going to get what you go through, whether it's ballet, tap, jazz, Irish dancing, hip hop. And it's at a pre-professional, serious dancer. And your professional dancers really need a lot of that help too.
Yeah.
As we get older, we don't have people taking us to doctors and physicals and things. And so I think it's super important for us to take care of our bodies as we're getting older and seeking those people that understand us so that you're not seeing, like for me, I saw so many doctors. What if I only needed to see one?
I know.
Just one. One so I could get my help. And the thing is that it's called Doctors for Dancers because we like the name, but kind of rolls off the tongue. Mm-hmm. But it is a variety of dance specialists that we have on our site because it does take a team. Sometimes the level of care, maybe you just want acupuncture or dry needling, or maybe you are working through an injury. So yoga and Pilates will help you. Or you're even just trying to level up your care. So you're going to Pilates, working that core and cross training. You're doing weightlifting. That's super important that we need to bring into the dance community is cross training.
Yes.
And lifting those weights. And we don't encourage that enough, but we definitely need it. So it helps support our dancing. And so we can get better. And we have physical therapists, massage therapists, doctors. So it's a nice, well-rounded variety of people that work specifically on dancers.
That's so amazing. It's something that keeps coming up with my clientele dancers. But so how do I say this? Exactly what you said about going to your pediatrician. He is not an expert in an ankle injury, and that's fine. He spent years and years and years studying to understand pediatric medicine from the inside. He's great for colds. He's great for certain diseases. He is 100% the person you want to go to if you are sick. If you have an injury, you don't want to go to your general practitioner. You don't want to go to an ear, throat, and nose person. You need to go to the place that you want that type of answer. So I get this a lot with people who come to me and say, my orthopedic surgeon said, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They said that my ankle is broken without repair and that I should rest it for this long. That's probably not the best example with a broken ankle, but it's coming from the orthopedic. And what I say to them is he is an expert at telling you what to do if you're going to go down the surgery route. If you are looking for something that's not surgery, you need to go find a specialist who understands your sport, your injury, and your body in the area you do want to seek care. So if your care is if you want your care to be active exercises and PT, you need to go find somebody who specializes in that, because that orthopedic surgeon is the best person to go to if you're going to have surgery. They do not know to the best extent what maybe a specialized physical therapist in shoulder understands, who works with baseball players and getting them back to performance and play. Right. So those are the type of people we want to seek out. And I think most of us just don't know where to go, or know that even, I want to say exists, but that is what we should do. I think we've put a lot of stock in having like a general practitioner, having your, MD tell you what to do. And that's kind of the way our system has been. But what you guys are doing is creating a collection of people that says, okay, if you need to go to the orthopedic, here's a bunch of people who work with dancers. If you then are like, oh, I don't need surgery, I want to see what the physical therapist or somebody or trainer says, somebody who can assist me to get back in. You're creating this huge network of people so that you don't have to go searching for it, out of thin air of a Google, which Google is a deep road that we can get sucked into. So what you're creating is so phenomenal for that. And I really hope that it starts to spread quickly and assists, especially the parents, to get out of that rut of trusting, I don't want to say trusting, but of going with, I like the orthopedic example. If you're not going to do surgery, you need to move on to another professional besides orthopedic. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting because I do get a lot of messages from people saying that they need surgery, they tore this, they tore that. But I feel like sometimes they're like, that's validation for them because it has been hurting for a while.
Yes.
They have been putting themselves through it. So they think that I've worked so hard, I've trained so hard, I broke my body, that I do need surgery. But most of the time they don't need surgery.
You're right.
And that's the hard part.
It's so hard. It's so hard to hear that. And oh my gosh, my heart goes out because I get those messages every single day. And it's hard when they're not people we're not giving medical advice, but I have a friend who used to be a dancer who hurt her shoulder. And she told me that the doctor told her she tore her rotator cuff. And I said to her, I'm not sure you did. Did you do anything? Has it been bothering you? Like, what happened? She goes, nothing happened, which you could still have a torn rotator cuff. But she said, they're going to do exploratory surgery and they're going to fix it. And I said, oh my gosh, please don't do that. Please go to a specialist, like a PT who works with a baseball player, because the statistic is that most baseball players have torn rotator cuffs and they don't even realize it. They're still playing at 100% and they don't even realize. So just because you have an injury doesn't mean that it hurts. And vice versa. You can have something really small and it can be extremely painful. So she ended up doing the surgery. They got in. There was no torn rotator cuff. And I think that they did a little bit of like clean out, probably to save their butts. And her recovery was horrible because she had a surgery. And I think she could have saved herself a little bit of pain if she had found somebody who could really assist her with the physical PT side of it before we resorted to surgery.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like sitting out, if you hear the words, you need to sit out, here's some pills, you have surgery, those are like three things. Seek somebody else before you go down that path. Mm-hmm. That's not your one-all be-all answer of those reasons. That's why we have dance specialists. And a lot of dance specialists that we talk to, that's the last thing that they tell anybody is to sit out. Modification is the number one thing that they tell somebody. And just because you broke your ankle and you're in a boot, they can work on other things to strengthen you because you're now compensating because of that. So now we need to strengthen these so that you are good to go. So when the boot is off and we put the other work in, we're good to go. We're not waiting 6 weeks on doing nothing.
Absolutely.
Affects them as a dancer. But yeah, we have heard even a lot of stories of men, ballerinas that are doing a lot of lifting, even ballroom dancers and their shoulders that they're being torn by catching people or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And their surgeries are messed up because they didn't see somebody that's saw a dance specialist and they don't understand. So they gave them surgeries for like older people instead of younger so that they continue to do that. And sometimes then they can't go back to doing what they were doing because of the type of surgery that they had. But how are they supposed to know?
They're not supposed to know. It's not their job to know.
Right. How are they supposed to know that I got the wrong surgery?
Yeah.
Like, how did I know? Like, yes, he's the top surgeon of this and this, but he doesn't understand what you do as a dancer. So how is he supposed to put your shoulder back for it to go how you want it to be to continue your career? Now your career ended because of it. Like, what are you supposed to do? Go back in? Like, you can't fix it once you go into surgery. Yeah. So definitely, if you hear those things, seek other help. Like, look, have multiple opinions before you continue down that path. And sometimes you are going to hear you have to sit out. Sometimes you are going to have to hear that you have surgery. It's not like you're never going to hear those things, but especially when you're a teenager and you hear that you need surgery, you need to seek a specialist, and you need to seek why you needed surgery at such a young age. Are you dancing too much? Are you dancing on the right floor? You know, are you taking care of your body? What type of, are you doing any cross training? Like, we need to look at all these things on a preventative measure before you hear those words.
Yeah.
So it's super important for you to look at a dance studio to see, are they trained properly? Do they have education? It's not just about who's winning competition. Sometimes those competition kids are pushing themselves to no end, that they are having surgeries in their teens.
Yep.
So it's something to definitely take a look at when you are looking at studios. It has to be about the health of the dancer, especially if they want this as a career. You don't want them to be done at 14 years old and have it affect them for the rest of their life with the surgery. You want them to continue to dancing and be healthy. And even if they don't dance into their lifetime, they should still, health is definitely a priority.
We still want them to be healthy.
We still want them to be healthy.
It's so sad. And I hear it all the time of people saying, oh, I used to dance. And I know the next sentence out of their mouth is going to be, but I injured myself. Yeah. So that is maybe the most common two sentences I get pushed together. So it happens a lot. And we want our dancers, because there are so many dancers in the world, especially at a young age. And most of them are not going to pursue dance after high school. That's just what happens. And that's great. But I want their bodies to be healthy so they can go to college and enjoy their college time, and they can go on to be parents and big work execs and, you know, all that kind of stuff without having this type of pain that started from training poorly or not taking care of their bodies when they're young. So we are on the same page on that.
Absolutely. Like, when I grew up, I thought I danced a lot. We were there Monday through Thursday, and Friday was optional. Saturday, sometimes you could take class. So usually you had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, but Monday through Thursday, you were there for 5 to 6 hours. It was just, you know, your life. And then obviously you had competitions. We had, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 a year, you know, sometimes 8 to 10 dancers for each one. And now and also I only attended a few conventions because that's all there was around. Mm-hmm. So we did have a summer break after we hit nationals. Then we'd have a couple weeks off to actually like go in the pool and spend time and actually be a kid for a little while and actually see the people that you went to high school with or middle school with, because you never saw them.
Social life.
Like, yeah. What's that? So now their kids are dancing Monday through Friday. Even on Saturday, I'm hearing there's ballet classes. And conventions, there's a lot of them to choose from. So everybody wants to go to all of them because they're super cool. And now summer is happening and everybody's going to every national convention intensive. There's no break. And by the end of August, or even at the beginning of August, there's a lot of injuries that are happening. So we need to talk about, you know, where's the break?
Yeah.
So I'm sure parents want to know, where's the break in the bank?
Right.
You know?
When can we go on our vacation? That's what my parents are like. God, we never can leave. We're always here. I'm like, yeah.
Vacation is the dance vacation. And that's why they make all those conventions to, you know, have your vacation there. Sometimes they're having it in Mexico and cruises now so that you attend there. And there's just never a break in dance. And it's a constant. So you're having those injuries because you're not having a break. Every other sport is doing a break in their thing. And even if you have an injury, if you're playing soccer, then they say, okay, stop playing soccer and go play baseball or football.
Yes.
So that you change up what you're doing. In dance, we don't ever do that. It's just constant. Yeah. It doesn't matter. yes, you're doing jazz, ballet, and hip hop. Yes, those are different genres, but you're still doing that constant repetition, especially when competition season's coming up. We do that same dance over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that point up, that it's the variety of movement that most teenage athletes get that dancers don't. So most athletes, especially the ones that go into college and on after that, they cycle through. They play baseball, they play basketball, they play football, or whatever else they play. They have one that they're really good at, but they cycle through. They have a variety of movement, a variety of things that are required of their body, and that is how they stay healthier. Dancers, like you said, go the whole year doing the exact same movement over and over and over, putting the wear and tear on their body that another athlete wouldn't experience until they're in their maybe even 60s. They are experiencing that in their young teenage because they are not doing that variety of movement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the dance world. It's a great crazy.
It's an amazing crazy.
Yes.
It is nice. We did attend recently. There's a thing that's actually spreading across the United States. Super exciting. It's called the Day of Dancer Health. Have you ever heard about that?
Yes, I have.
Amazing.
Yes.
There was over 50 dance specialists that volunteered their time to do this, and workshops and people coming in. And Stefan was actually able to be a part of it. And it was very interesting to go through like a 7-point checkpoint to go ahead and see what was wrong. And then how you were saying earlier, like he didn't even know that there were things wrong with him. It could have been the littlest thing that was hurting him, but there were other things. And like, you're ready to have an injury. And he was like, what?
Yeah.
And like his ankles were bothering him. And we got Apollo shocks to help with that, because he does do a lot of hip hop, and we travel all over with different studios, and not a lot of them have sprung floors.
Yeah.
So we have learned that is super important, that again, when you're choosing a dance studio or where you're choosing to dance at, that you have the correct floor, because you are going to feel it in your ankles and your knees and work your all the way up, because that's not there for your compression.
Yeah.
So the Apollo shocks have definitely helped out with that. But now we also are paying attention to where we're dancing and limiting our time at certain studios because of it, because his hip flexors were really tight and there were the things going on. And we're like, oh, that's because we were just dancing at this studio. Like we already knew it was already affecting his body, and he's only 19.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens. So
Yes.
definitely the screenings really helped us. So we're learning as we go as well, but the screenings are super important to be having, watching where your floor, are you resting? Are you cross training? Are you taking a break from dance? And I feel like just a couple of different things that you can start doing will help you have longevity in your career. And for us, warming up is super, super, super important. Please do it. Even before you get into class, please do it. Teachers,
do it 10 times over. Warm up 10 times more.
Seriously. We're just going into the steps. And even competition season, a lot of times we're sitting there for a while after we're watching all the things, all the people running the dances, but we're getting cold right then, and then we have to get up and dance. So while you're there, make sure that you're stretching to help some of those things as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, encouraging proper warm up is super important.
Yes, it's super important. When I go into studios and do workshops, I can't help it. I have to do this. I always ask, what's the first thing you guys do when you walk in the studio? And it's always a split, a batma, or like a side, like grand plie stretch. And I'm like, great, fantastic. 5 minutes before you do that, this is what you need to do. We need to get the blood pumping. You need to use your muscles. So we need to do things that make you engage and use, and then you can do that. And I still haven't come into a studio that hasn't been the response. So I'm looking forward to the day that when I walk in and ask that, they say, oh, we go jogging and jumping jacks and squats and bear crawls. And I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, it's a good thing. So can you tell us what does it look like to be a member of Doctors for Dancers? How do we get access to it? What are the logistics for anyone who's interested in looking at your guys' stuff?
As a dance specialist becoming on?
As both. What would it look like for a dance specialist, and what would it look like for just the dancer and parent to find you?
Yeah. Well, dance specialists, we do interview everybody that comes on, making sure that they really do understand the community and their background. So we don't just have anybody coming on just because they say that they want to work on dancers. So we do an interview. So you are able to go to our website and set up a time. So usually it takes about 30 minutes for us to go through the process.
Great.
And for parents, you can visit doctorsfordancers.com and click on Find a Dance Specialist. And you can actually put in your zip code or your area that you're in. You can actually search up to over 200, 300 miles, I think it is. Because sometimes we are new, so we're adding people to each time, to each city. So it's really beneficial for you to be able to search wherever you're going. Plus, if you're traveling and you get hurt, where do you go?
Yep.
Or some of the ballet intensives, we had people contact us this summer because the ballet intensives are sometimes 2 to 3 weeks and they're out of town. So like, where do I get somebody to work on? They're really tight. They're working all day long. How do I find someone? So we're actually able to find a couple of our specialists locally here. We're based out of Arizona. We're actually able to come to the house where they were staying at to give them treatment.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's a nice option. Some specialists will come to your home or even come to the dance studio if teachers are looking to do screenings, classes. All of those things are available to them, which is super nice. Even if you want a dance specialist to teach your teachers a proper warm-up, we can arrange for that too. So we want to definitely teach our up and coming because for me, I assisted taught and things like that, but I didn't get really taught of why I was doing what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So I think now having somebody that actually has the medical degree teaching us a proper way to warm up our students based upon our choreography is super important. Sorry, a little off topic, but then
no, it's great. That's great. Keep going.
And then you can also search for a specific type of specialist. So if you're looking for just a physical therapist or a massage therapist, chiropractor, you're able to search by that specific category or everybody in there. So when all the results come up, you can click on their bio and you can rate them, which we highly encourage to give testimonials onto our dance specialists. So you can view their bio, their contact information, their Instagram, Facebook. And we also, some of them offer discounts if you mention Doctors for Dancers. So make sure that if you see any of our dance specialists, you let people know, hey, I'm from Doctors for Dancers. Do you offer any discounts?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We have some great packages that way too.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So this is definitely something parents and dancers to take advantage of. And I know that I have suggested a few people to the website, and most of them have been able to find someone. Like you said, you guys are a little bit newer, but you're growing quickly. Like I have been with you guys for about a year now, and you've grown so much in this last year, and your information and presence is getting bigger and bigger. So I'm excited to see where you are in another year as far as the practitioners that you have or that you're in contact with or have connection with throughout the U.S.
Yeah, we're super excited. You were a part of our testing phase.
Yes, I was. I was so excited when you guys reached out. I have to be honest. I thought, I don't really know if this is going to go anywhere because I get things like that all the time in different, areas. I think we all get little random emails. But I was like, you know what? I like this person. I like this cause. We're going to see what happens. And it has been, you guys have just taken off. I love your outreach, and I'm loving seeing other dance specialists that I know. I'm like, they're on Doctors for Dancers. Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we just officially launched this about 5 months ago is when our official launch happened. And it is so nice to have dance specialists from all over message us because even if you do a search today and you do a dance specialist, you still can't find them.
No, you can't find them on Google.
There's still today, you cannot find a dance specialist. I have to ask somebody to find me a dance specialist. And so even if people message us and say, hey, I don't have anybody, like right now, I don't have anybody in Orlando. Imagine that. I don't have anybody in Orlando. Yeah. So just have a convention teacher that's injured. So we're trying to find them. So we're screening them before we send them on over.
Yeah.
But
it's
really awesome.
If you're listening and you're in Orlando, I think you need to reach out to Jennifer because there are so many conventions in Orlando. This is very important.
Yeah, it is. We're trying to get into the conventions. We have amazing dance specialists that want to do community outreach programs to help the dance community.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get into the dance conventions to provide free services for the dancers while they're at the convention.
Yeah.
That's our and competition, because you can go to a 5K run and there's a bunch of tents with PTs taking care of them. We go to a dance competition, a dance convention. There's no care for our kids.
Yep.
And so we are trying to get into that so that when you're there for the 3 days, living there, breathing there every moment of the day, that if something were to happen to your kid or yourself, that you have some type of place where you can go to get help.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are listening and you have a dance specialist that you see that's really helped you, tell that person to reach out to Jennifer, Doctors for Dancers. I want this resource to build and grow, because that is a very common question I get from you guys is, where do I go? And if you've reached out to me, you know I always ask where you are, and I'm trying to think if I know anyone who can help you near you where you are, but I don't have someone in every state, in every city, and this is going to be the big resource for you. Give it one more year, and I know it's going to be huge. So Jennifer, I didn't even ask you this before, so I might be putting you on the spot. Where do you see this going in the next few years? Like, besides where you are right now, what would you like to see happen within your company and the dance community, and how you guys work together?
I would love for us to be in competitions and conventions.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for us to be in dance studios and doing screenings like on a nationwide basis. Just education and taking care of the community is super important. And having our dance specialists that come on, it's just not a list. It is a community of people that care about the dance community, that a lot of them were dancers or not dancers, and now they're in it. And I want that passion to show through. I want for us to advocate for dancers on the up and coming, because like you said, they don't know. We don't know where to go. We don't know what to do. We don't know if it's right. We don't know what's wrong. And I feel like education is super important. And for a dancer who's injured, I just want them to get help the way they deserve to be. You know, I want them to go into our dance specialists and feel like these are my people. Like, I'm going to get the help that I need. And so I want that to be that for Doctors for Dancers. I want dancers to know that when they search for somebody on our site, that they're going to, have people understand them and try to get the help that they need. And hopefully we'll have someone in every state and every city to be able to take care of dancers, because they're all over. And hopefully maybe someday we have international messaging us saying, hey, we need people in India. We need people in Australia. We need people in Canada. So international, I think it's on its way. But right now we're paying attention to the United States. And
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Well, we're coming up on our hour, and I just want to say thank you again for taking your time to come talk to us about what you're creating and this is so important topic. And you are really, really filling a need in this whole community that's so big. The dance community is gigantic, whether you are a beginning recreational dancer all the way to professional in a big company. This is something that's been missing, and it is the reason that I'm where I'm at with my own body. It's the reason that I work with the people and the dancers that I do. And having your website and all the work that you're doing for your son and then for the rest of the dance community is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You're such a sweetheart. I can't believe that was an hour.
I know. It goes by so fast. But this is what happens. Like, this is what we're doing. We sit and we chat, and everyone's listening from their cars, and it goes by really fast.
Yeah. You can tell we're really passionate about helping the community out and, getting everybody some help. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So everyone listening, I will tag and put in the comments all of Jennifer's information, Doctors for Dancers. If you want to look it up right now, you can go to doctorsfordancers.com. You can find your specialist. You can look at what they're doing, their causes, everything that they're doing right now. And we'll also put it into the show notes. So thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I told you guys that this would be an episode that you would want to start the year off with, and that you now have a support system that you literally didn't know existed an hour before. So make sure that you go and follow along on Instagram, find them on the website. If you guys are searching for, now is a good time to start looking at some of these healthcare professionals, from doctors to trainers to nutritionists. These are people who are going to be able to assist you in this next season coming up in life. And like we said, some of you have things starting in a few days. So take advantage of this new information. It's forever growing. So if you don't see someone near you, keep in mind what's going on, that this is growing constantly and rapidly. I'm happy to assist you guys in any way that I can to find a professional near you. One resource that I've started this last year doing is Skype sessions, because I don't know somebody in every city to refer you to, and I want to be able to assist you. And in most cases, it's very successful for me to at least get a base going with you guys doing Skype sessions, and then being able to send you off into other areas to get more hands-on experience with a trainer or someone else. This is information that needs to be shared. I am making sure that I give this information to you. Jennifer is making sure that she gave it to me. And now I ask that you share this information with your dance friends. Share the podcast with a fellow dance mom or a dancer, somebody, so that they know that this exists and their year can be stellar, healthy, and thriving. And we're passing on some good juju. So if I'm the first to tell you, Happy New Year. Happy 2020. Let's make this year count. We have so many tools at our fingertips, and this year of podcasting is going to be stellar. I'm so excited. So make sure you're following along on my Instagram, Align Fitness by Allie. You can set yourself to subscribe to the podcast so that it downloads every day, every Wednesday on your phone, and you can get the notification that the new episode is here. Let's make this year your best year yet, and I'll see you all back here next week on Beyond the Point.